Welcome to another special edition of Strange Planet, and I'm here to give you another update on my wonderful journey with what I call the Miracle Blue Bottle behind me. This amazing supplement, redox signaling molecules, this patented technology that, I'm about 4 months in, and I continue to report that as I approach the age of 60, I'm defying father time, boundless energy, not a gray hair in my head. The mighty Aphrodite likes that. I think that's why she married me, truth be told. The other thing that I'm reporting is incredible sleep, really deep sleep, but also very vibrant dreams. Like I'm getting REM like I never had REM probably in 30 or 40 years, and incredible gum health. I think I've mentioned before on the program. At the age of 59, I've never had a cavity, so I have great genes. My base level for my health is terrific, but I brush very vigorously, too vigorously, and I have had in the past very sensitive gums. They even bleed at times. Over the last 4 months, my gums are in the pink, firm and healthy, and no sensitivity. So, that being said, I want to welcome another member of the Asea family for you to meet, and it's Dr. Carolyn Hoffman, who is a board-certified doctor or naturopathic doctor. She's also a volunteer on Asea's Medical Board of Advisors. Dr. Hoffman, welcome. How are you?
I am great. Thank you very much. This is a great privilege. Thanks, Richard, for inviting me.
Let me ask you how you became acquainted with ASEA, and also this new science of redox signaling molecules.
Absolutely. That's kind of an interesting journey for me that navigated a few points. Part of what I do as a naturopath is also I'm a digestive health specialist. So I've actually been working in the field of redox before anyone talked about the fact that enzyme activities are redox reactions. And way prior to ASEA, I was working in the field of nitric oxide. We would do actual testing of nitric oxide levels in our clinic, and we do nitric oxide supplementation for the clients who had cardiovascular issues. And I mention that because the Nobel Prize that was awarded back in 1998 for the discovery of nitric oxide and its benefits for cardiovascular health is where the whole research field begins in earnest for redox. And so that prize has kind of spurred the next 20 plus years of published research in the field of redox biology. Originally, it wasn't called that. Everybody thought about oxidative stress, and that's probably what everybody's familiar with. It's always been taught until probably the last 10 years or so as being the bad guy, right? Oxidation equals inflammation, inflammation equals disease, disease equals inflammation. You go around the circles on that deal. But that's what everybody was taught way back. They were always taught that, oxidation is just a bad thing. So the field has shifted, and it's been reflected in the change of the Society for Redox Biology and Medicine. It actually got renamed. And so it used to all be about oxidative stress, but now they realize that this field of redox, these reductants and oxidants that they've combined together to be the word of redox, is much more than anything to do with inflammation. And we can probably talk a bit about that. But long and short of it was I was dealing in this space of redox without anyone actually calling it that back in 2009, because it wasn't a label. And so I didn't realize that I actually was involved in it before it became a thing, but it was shown to me the Asea product, the stabilization, and just to kind of put a perspective, because I think sometimes people get a little lost in research, or they think of research, but search on a Google engine teaches them things that are really a little bit inappropriate or confusing. Asea didn't discover redox, right? I mean, we aren't talking unless we're making redox in every single cell of the human body. We expire in about 3 seconds, face plant pretty fast if we stop making this. So, Asea is not responsible for discovering redox, or neither was it actually responsible for having little machines that would generate redox supplement molecules. The tricky piece is these are rather like a firefly or a sparkler. They're here and gone. They're an electrical chemical signal that's just very fast and activating. And the challenge scientifically was you couldn't keep them around. They had this lifespan of about 10 to 30 minutes. And the stabilization is the development of what's brought this into a space of no longer just clinical research where you have to be drinking these things on site and could be tested as part of some clinical scientific study, but actually making a breakthrough against science belief that you could stabilize something this volatile, this active in a bioactive form outside the human body in a space where it's not a drug and it's totally safe, totally non-toxic. And now you and I, the general public, right, get to be able to control the benefit of that for us. And that development was shown to me right at the beginning of it, kind of around 2011, but there wasn't really an awful lot of science around the actual product technology at that point. So I kind of dismissed it. Long and short of it was, somebody showed it to me again in 2017. So it took me 6 years to be smart enough to pay attention. And I still probably would have missed it if they hadn't gone so far as developing the stabilized gel technology, the ability to take those same bioactive markers and molecules and instead of just drink them, put them in a form where we can apply them to the skin and really directly target something that needs support at the cellular level. So that was my kind of sideways step into it, because I still wasn't particularly enamored and that enthusiastic, but I was curious because I went to something, I saw a ton of people have this gel applied to them for things that are uncomfortable. And I watched just a series of people, get these very rapid changes in discomfort to being comfortable in under 10 minutes. So I was curious about that because it's not an analgesic. So we're actually just targeting the way the cells function and how they've broken down in that communication and just kind of kick-starting things, right? Helping the body to do what it's designed to do, which is to heal. So I was curious enough about the gel, and I did what one of our colleagues on the medical board, Dr. David Silverman, would talk about. He said, go build your own belief with the gel technology and find people who hurt. Apply it to at least 10 people, and while you're drinking, wait to see what happens with them because it's going to be much quicker. And so I did that. I took it into my practice, and basically everybody who walked through the door that had anything that hurt or anything that didn't move properly, I just said, I'm trying out a new product. Can you give me feedback on this? And so I beta tested it with people, and it was just uniform. It really didn't make any difference whether you were about to have a hip replaced, in a very severe level of discomfort at a level 8, which kind of vanished in 2 minutes to a 0, which kind of blew me apart. I was like, okay, this is really intriguing. To, broken toes, bruises, congested sinuses, severe head discomfort. It doesn't make any difference because the uniform thing that pulls it all together is it's all about a cell. And we are just one huge collection of 70 to 100 trillion cells. And if they're healthy and if they're communicating beautifully, we're healthy. But when that breaks down, we have dysfunction. And so it was that kind of stepping into watching it in my practice that said, okay, we've got some application here that's different and intriguing. And then I kind of moved gently into how do we apply and use the liquid.
That's right. That's what it's all about, right? It's about health support at the cellular level.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why this technology, if I can use that word, it's nature's technology that's, been captured like lightning in a bottle. How do you, because your area of expertise is digestive health, what, I guess, anecdotally are you hearing about this product, Asea Redox supplement, with regards to digestion?
Mm. Well, 3 months after I had started using this with clients, one of the things that came out was a double-blind placebo study that we ran on genetic expression, and that was taking place at Torit Labs. They're genetic specialists, you know, they do massive amounts of research in that field across the world. And one of the things that came about there, which was really intriguing to me, was that not only did 100% of the people in the test group consuming the redox have a uniform improvement of 20 to 31% improvement in genetic signaling, which is phenomenal, 100%, right? I mean, I had to go ask some scientists, and I said, well, you know, tell me some things. If you're doing research regularly, how many times do you see double-blind placebo research where the test group has a uniform 100% response in a uniform manner, and conversely, the opposite side was that the placebo was plain saline, and we can kind of talk about that piece. And that had a 0% response. And everyone has said to me, you just don't get those study results. But this changed things like immune response, inflammatory response, you know, cardiovascular health with vein elasticity, hormone signaling and vitality and wellness, but it also improved digestive enzyme function. And the flip side of it actually begun to inhibit the challenges we have of absorption. So this piece was interesting to me because I'm an enzyme specialist, and you know, I have clients who are struggling with digestive health, and we're targeting it with these enzyme products. But I saw personally that every single person that we added this into what they were doing had a profound difference in the outcome over and above simply the capsule supplementation of enzymes. So much so that I was able to reduce a lot of the enzyme supplements that they took and really bring them down to just something like a basic digestive enzyme, or sometimes not even anything at all. So it was really pretty amazing to watch that play out in my practice.
Remarkable. If you want to find out more about this amazing supplement, Asea Redox molecule supplement, call the number that's right there on the screen and speak with Lynn. Don't do anything before you text her or call her, and she'll direct you in the right place to go for more information. There's so many great videos available as well. But don't do anything until you text Lynn. And if you want to dive a little bit deeper, you can go to strangeplanet.teamasea.com. Strangeplanet.teamasea.com. It's right there on the screen. Never mind my fumbling mouth here. It's right there on the screen, as well as the number. And please don't buy it through Amazon or any third party. You want to know that you're getting the real deal. And also, you know, there's a shelf life and so forth. So make sure if you're going to, you know, take this journey with me, do it the right way. And Lynn is your guide. What about for you personally, Dr. Hoffman, if I may ask? I mean, how do you use it?
Yeah, I mean, I do much the same as most people do. I mean, I consume the liquid morning and evening. I'm not always particularly regular. You know, you can drink it at any time. I mean, I always say about anything, you know, it works better in you than in the bottle. So just make sure that you're consuming it. But average quantity, I mean, if you're over 50, you and I were kind of talking before we started about age and things. I'm about to be 70 this in June.
Get out of town.
And,
You are
yeah,
not.
right. And you know, my energy levels are just solid. I mean, way in excess of people. I consult and work with people, you know, 30 years younger than me who don't perform and operate at the same level. But, you know, when you're older, you have less of this because we begin to lose it at 1% per year, actually as early as 15 in puberty. So if you wondered why, you know, you start to feel and notice things changing from 35 onwards, this is part of why. You know, this is the thing that literally controls the capacity of the body to hear when there's a damaged cell, to detect it, to get in there to repair it, to replace it. We want those replaced when they're too old. They move on. We need new healthy cells. We want them replaced when they're doing things we don't want them to do. If they're having conversations that are causing chaos somewhere in the system, we want that to be eradicated. We want healthy cell function. So this promotes and rebuilds. I think of this as a bio replenishment, and that's different than supplementation. Supplementation is, adding something that you're not naturally making in your body, but bioreplenishment is rebuilding the quantity of something that we are naturally producing, like stem cells. People, they put stem cells back in because they've lost that over time. But here we've got this fabulous way to just drink it every day. Build up the supply, help the body hear much quicker what it used to hear really well when we were young. And you begin to see and feel those changes. I laughingly remind people that the wrinkles on the outside are a reflection of the wrinkles on the inside. So we need to think about that. You're going to change it from the inside, and of course, with the gel, we can change it from the outside as well, which is phenomenal.
Right, right. Yeah, I think it was Dr. Silverman who's been on the program a couple of times describing these redox molecules, these signaling molecules, and that's the key word, right? Signaling. It's like they're the molecules that call 911. It's like, hey, we've got a problem down here or over here. We need help, and those signals as we age get weaker and weaker and weaker, and ultimately they're not able to cry out for help, and the body has this miraculous ability to heal itself, and that's where these signaling molecules come in. So we're putting them back into our body. We're enhancing what God already gave us, and as we get older, again, it's supporting our health at the cellular level. Dr. Silverman also has described this, and others, I guess, as the ASEA as perhaps one of the greatest medical revolutions since penicillin. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I say that it's the missing link, because it doesn't really matter what else you do. If you don't have good signaling, if you don't have high amplification, if you don't have effective search and rescue going on, right, and the repair capacity, nothing else happens. So that's one thing I will say that I can see is, like, I'm sure you have lots of listeners, as I would find that with my clients that take a lot of supplements. I mean, the capsules and the pill versions, but those are the materials that are necessary for the body to use, to utilize, to build healthy cells. But nothing is going to happen with those materials if we don't have those redox signals telling the body what to do with them. So it's like building a house, right? You can deliver all the materials to the job site, but if the laborers don't turn up, you haven't got a house. And it's the same deal with the cells. So, of course, healthy diet is the first place we start. Putting in good materials, which hopefully we shouldn't need too many of them. I don't mean 10, 20 supplements a day, which is often what people are taking. But just some essential stuff to make up for what's not in our diet. But then a good plethora of these redox signaling molecules, so they've got the workers to make use of it and then produce these really healthy cells. But I think it is, yeah, it's the missing link, and it's played out that way. But I often think that this is kind of, I was looking at the definition of God particle. It isn't quite what I think of it, but I think of it as that is, because without this, nothing else happens. Nothing.
You were talking about the studies in the placebo, which was a saline solution, and that's, if there are people out there who still, maybe that is the stumbling block. They look on the back of the bottle and they say, well, it's salt water. Come on, it's sodium chloride and H2O. It's salt water. What's that going to do? So just maybe explain the difference. Why, yes, those are the ingredients, but those are the building blocks, for all of these different wonderful molecules that are involved in the signaling.
Yeah, it's the material that the body's using. And think about it, we're, 70, 80, 90 different percentage of water, but that's what's in us, right? Saline. And what do you get when you go into hospital, right? If you're dehydrated or you're in dire emergencies, you're going to have a saline bag, because that's what's in our cells. And the body is already using the components of the saline. And what is that? Sodium and water, but the body breaks that down to 4 components: sodium, chloride, hydrogen, and oxygen. So we've got 4 molecules. And I often think this is a bit like a Chinese fire drill, right? The body reorganizes it and it produces something different. Although another analogy would be, if you bake a cake, what do you start with? You start with ingredients. you mix it and you go through a chemical change and you come out with something different. Now, if you're doing a pound cake, it might be butter and sugar and flour and eggs and things like that. But if you're eating it, what do you say you're eating? You don't say, well, I'm eating butter and sugar and flour and eggs. You say, I'm eating a pound cake, because it's transformation. And this is the same. We have to take exactly the same ingredients. We can't take table salt with lots of organic minerals in there, because it's not going to make the same thing. We have to have this incredibly pure process of deionized, denatured water, so that there's nothing in there that won't make a redox molecule. And sodium, when we go through this process of putting electrical charges through it, and in that process, we replicate what the cells are able to do in a nanosecond. We can do it pretty quickly, in under a day now, which we didn't used to be able to do back in 2009. It was 3.5 days to do what we can now do in a matter of about 12 hours, actually. But we're just breaking down the molecules. We're replicating exactly what the body does. And through this patented technology and the ability to dial in and measure things so specifically, we can lock off and hold these phenomenal trillions and trillions of redox molecules in a minor amount of salt water. So when we look at the label, it's tricky, right? As you said, what do we look at the label? We do what we're taught to do, right? We're trained in the nutritional arena to look at ingredients, because those are materials. So all those capsules you take and all those tablets you take are made of physical materials that your body has to now digest. This is not physical material. There is no digestion, and it is only absorption, because it is chemical reactions. It is electrical transfers. And so when we put it in our mouth and we swish it around, it's already signaling. There's nothing to be digested. It doesn't even have to do any of it. It doesn't have to get to the stomach to work. It's already working in us and signaling like fireworks. They're going off, all these signals, instructions, right? And stuff happens, and it creates this switches on and off cell activity, because it's giving instructions, and then creates this cascade that runs through the body. So it's a very different approach, which I think is kind of hard for people, because the nutritional industry has taught us, we look at a label which has materials. We don't have any materials. There's very little sodium left in it by the time it's finished, the equivalent of about 1/2 carrot's worth of sodium. So even if you're on a salt-restricted diet, there's no issue for this at all. There's no doctor who's going to say to you, you can't eat a carrot, or you can't eat a slice of bread. So we don't have that. Plus, our clinical studies show that it's totally non-toxic. We have people who do drink large quantities, as much as of a whole bottle a day, because if they've got some very serious issues going on, where they've got lots of miscommunication in their cells and they need a huge amount of troops, those people feel that they do better on that. Do you need to drink that? Hopefully, I would hope not. The average amount's like 4 to 8 ounces, depending upon, how young you are, what your genetics are, what your challenges are. You're going to find the sweet spot. It's a bit like a sleep number bed. You're going to find what works for you. And, it's great, because can't be allergic to it. It's already in us. And I think probably for me as a practitioner, one of the most important things, which I can't say about any other nutritional supplement with materials, is it is transparent to medication. What does that mean? It means that if you're on any kind of medication, stay on it, don't change a thing. Just add this, benchmark everything about your health with the person that will help you through this journey, which speaks to why you don't want to go buy it on Amazon, where it could be false, expired. We know it is, because we test all this stuff, and you get no one to support you. So the great piece is we can kind of check what changes, and we know directly because of that. If things begin to improve, your body starts to say, wow, I can suddenly do some stuff that I forgotten how to do because I've got more resources. Check in with your doctor. They may well tell you what we hear so frequently. Well, you may not need that medication.
Remarkable. All right. Again, call the number on the screen and talk to my friend Lynn. She will shepherd you through the whole process, whether you're interested in improving or supporting your health at a cellular level, or you're looking to take advantage of the network marketing and add, another revenue stream in your life. And who would argue with doing something like that? And at the same time, getting on board what I think is a medical revolution. It's there's so many things that you can get involved with in terms of network marketing, but you can sell shoes, you can sell widgets, whatever, but what about introducing your friends and your family to a game changer? Something like this, that, as I say, we are on the cusp of a medical revolution. It's just gonna take more and more people waking up, and I think we're getting close. Wouldn't you say?
I see a change in the last year or so, very much so. We have something that you could not put on the shelves because it has such a unique story. It's a category creator. Nobody else is doing what we've done. It's a patented product technology. We were the first to market. We're still the only space, still the only people in that space. So it needs someone to explain, because if you just pick it up off the shelves and you say, well, what's redox, right? Most doctors don't even know what redox is, right? Unless they're trained, unless they've graduated kind of post 2010. They've got very little education just in the field of redox, and they certainly don't know about the breakthrough that we have here to be the first to market with stabilized redox signaling molecules that have no downside and only an upside to it.
Dr. Hoffman, great to meet you. I hope we'll talk again. Thank you so much for hanging out.
You're welcome.
A new Richard Syrett's Strange Planet drops every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Subscribe at strangeplanetpodcast.com.